boxing fans here in Birmingham with Ben Shalom. Ben, you're a busy man. Today, the weigh-in for Buatsi just taken place.
Yes.
A bit of tension there, Josh. There was something going on there. Someone wasn't happy about something. What was happening there?
I think Stepien came in at 12.7 and it was flickering 12.75, but he definitely made weight. Whether he could have taken his boxers off and made it absolutely clear, then that's fine. But I think, look, it was just a bit of question around that. But Buatsi's focused and intense and fiery and hasn't fought and wants to fight, and you can see that, and it's good to see. He's been frustrated watching other light heavyweights very active. He's seen Anthony Yarde challenge for world titles. He's seen Dan Aziz have 4 fights in the past 12 months whilst he's been waiting. So he just wants to be active and wants the big fights now. He's sick of waiting and he's ready to go. And just the intensity of him, I'm excited. Any boxing fan just loves to watch Joshua Buatsi in the ring. He's going to bring it, and he's going to be looking to put on a big statement against a guy who is a tough opponent, who's been preparing for a lot longer than Joshua Buatsi. He was preparing for Callum Smith. Very, very big fight for him there, and then gets this opportunity. Whilst Buatsi's had about 5 weeks, we wanted to get him out straight away. So it's a tough night, especially after 12 months out. Number 4 in the IBF, Pawel, and deserves his place and has worked hard to get there, and he's here to win, and he doesn't want to give up his unbeaten record, and we're in for a big fight. But yeah, for me, a huge statement for Joshua Buatsi, one of the most talented fighters that we have in this country.
Obviously, you're going to get looked at upon because Joshua Buatsi is the forgotten man of the division. You know, the one that was the Olympian, and then we've seen Anthony Yarde fight for world titles. We've seen Lyndon Arthur big fights with Anthony Yarde. So it's these fighters all mixing, but Joshua's not been there. So the next couple of fights after this, it's going to be hard for you to do it, but a lot of people are going to be looking at what Boxer does, what Ben Shalom does with someone like Joshua Buatsi. What is the plan for Joshua Buatsi, providing he does what he does on Saturday night?
Look, fans are going to be extremely happy with what we have planned. He's going to have the biggest fights. He's going to be active. He wants the big fights, make no mistake, and I think this illusion over the past few months that's been created is unfair. He wants the smoke. He wants the big fights. He wants to jump in. He wants the names. Even in his contract, he's enforced certain fights. He wants certain fights. It's happening, and I'm excited that for him, he's been waiting for this moment. He's 16-0. Yes, he's not been as active as we'd all have liked, but we're going to see it now. And for us, we're glad that we now get to promote and be part of the business end of his career with the biggest fights in his career and the big names. And Saturday night's a big night for him. He's got to make a statement, and then we get to see. And I don't want to give away everything that's going on behind the scenes, but it's big. It's going to be a massive 12 months, and I think we're going to look back in 12 months and go, wow, that was a no-brainer. And we'll see the superstar that we all thought he could have been, because he's an entertainer once he gets through those ropes.
Obviously, the name that's getting bandied about right now is Dan Aziz. Makes sense. He's with you guys, Sky Sports. I assume, whilst you're making other plans, I know Dan Aziz is a valid opponent, got all these titles, and on the rise, probably the most talked about fighter right now on your stable. That's the fight to make with Joshua Buatsi.
I don't think it'll be the next fight, if I'm honest. I think both of them we have big plans for. I don't think it'll be the next fight. Obviously, they are number 1 and number 2 in the WBA, and we'll see what happens with Bivol, and let's see. But you say the forgotten man of the division. He's the most talented fighter for me in the UK. Possibly, probably the most talented that hasn't got a world title. I genuinely believe that, and he wants to prove that, and he wants the big fights, and the governing bodies don't say that he's earned his position, and it's exciting. As I say, I'm glad that we're going to get the big fights where we see how good Joshua Buatsi is, and he's so hungry right now, and he's so ready right now, and he's listened to all the noise the past few months, and he's ready to go.
I just wanted to clarify, I didn't mean in regards to forgotten man. He's obviously got the skill set to be one of the best fighters in that division. I meant in regards to activity. But anyway, let's talk about Ben Whittaker. Another man who's been out for a long time, was out in Jeddah in Saudi. I was there August 2022. It's been a little while for him, but as ever, charismatic as ever, confident as ever. What's the plan with Ben going forward?
The plan is to build a superstar that British boxing needs, and the plan is to have a guy that takes the mantelpiece up from the Anthony Joshuas, from the Tyson Furies, from even the, you could argue, Chris Eubank Jr.'s, pay-per-view stars, and there's not that many coming through. I would say it's 5-10 years since a pay-per-view star came through, a genuine pay-per-view star. So we know that he can do it. He's extremely talented fighter, but has everything else, and I want him to be headlining here. He's very, very connected to Wolverhampton and feels very passionate about that. I think we're going to see him filling up this arena. Within 12 months, he'll be headlining this arena and filling it out. I'm convinced. The plan is to build him and to build an absolute guy, a superstar that can transcend, that can grow the sport, he's got something about him that no other fighter has in British boxing right now. I believe that, and we're completely behind him. He's a fundamental part of what we do, and it was difficult for us because we did so much to sign him, and then we had a huge injury layoff, and it's difficult for him as well. But to have him back completely 100% and completely ready to go, which he wasn't when he first signed, it feels like a massive signing, if it really does. And the start of something very special, and it's good that it's Birmingham. He's one of the major reasons why we're in Birmingham tomorrow night.
Just talking about what you've just said in regards to finding these pay-per-view stars, we've been watching boxing where we've been lucky that someone like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Tony Bellew at one point was a pay-per-view star. So these fighters were all gathering up on pay-per-view, and at that point I think we were spoiled as British fight fans at the moment. And like you said, everyone's trying to find that star from each promotional company to make the pay-per-view star. I think Eddie was trying to make Conor Bennett. Obviously whatever's happened there has happened there, but in your eyes, who's that guy from your stable? Is it going to be Ben Whittaker that you're going to have to push to make this pay-per-view star? Because it seems like we are sort of lacking them in the UK right now.
Look, I think Sky, that's what Sky Sports does, and that's what it's there to do. It's a massive platform and it needs superstars. The types of fighters we sign will be the ones that we think can transcend the sport. I think there's a few. I think Adam Azim has a huge potential to go that way at only 20 years old. It's frightening. Caroline Dubois, I think, will be the face of women's boxing. I think Fraser Clark's going to be in box office nights. After 6 fights, the amount of talk about him is unprecedented. It's almost ridiculous. But that's the interest, because it takes different personalities, it takes different styles. We've seen Ricky Hattons, we've seen Nassim Hameds. Everyone's got to have a different bit about them. But I think here's the place to build stars. Here's the place to build stars. This is what Sky pride themselves on. That's what we're looking for. We want those crossover guys, and we think we've got them. And it's important for the sport. It's okay having the boxing fans watching boxing, but how do we get the non-boxing fans watching boxing? That's what boxing needs. There's not many boxing fans, like true boxing fans, that will watch everything. We need the football fans, the cricket fans, the F1 fans, the women, when you're watching the boxing and they're upstairs, we want them watching boxing, and we need those stars to do so. And yeah, I think we've got a few.
Interesting. In regards to Chris Eubank Jr., you named him as one of the stars, and he's going to be fighting Liam Smith. Carl Froch is saying, listen, this fight's so big for him that if he loses this, his career's over. Do you feel, is that the same sentiment? Because I'm talking to people in the industry, they feel like possibly that's going to be the case. Do you feel like that you've got the same sentiment there? I
think what's in danger is those big checks that he's used to, those big nights, those big pay-per-view nights. That's what's in danger for Chris. He has created a star out of himself, and deservedly so. That's what's at risk. I think he knows that this is a bigger fight than the first one. People now know. Boxing fans knew. The casual fan knows now how dangerous Liam Smith is. They know this is a serious fight, and it was difficult at the start when we first announced that first fight. Liam Smith hadn't been in a box office fight before. Now he's accepted in a box office fight. This is a huge fight for both of them. Liam Smith, who wants to become a 2-time world champion. Chris Eubank Jr., who wants to keep his legacy of being resilient, of being hard to hit, of hard to knock out, of being hard to hurt. That's what he'll be looking to do, and that's why he's taking this fight, and it's a massive fight for both of them. And yeah, it's going to have a huge effect on what Eubank Jr. can do going forward.
Final two from myself, and very quickly, there's a whole boxing tournament being talked about in Saudi. Obviously none of your fighters involved, but how exciting is it as somebody involved in boxing that potentially we can see the top 4 heavyweights fight each other on the same night in Saudi Arabia?
It would be amazing. I'd like it to happen, but we've talked about, I know you have to talk about things, but I would love it to happen. But I've talked about Fury Usyk, I've talked about Fury AJ, and all these things would have been great to happen. Let's hope it happens. Let's see what happens. All I would say is, let's hope it doesn't stop the activity of the fighters that we need most being active, because that's what we need in the sport. That's all. But yeah, it just feels stupid as a boxing fan. Like, I'm a fan. Yeah. How many times do I get excited about a fight, and then or something happening and then it doesn't? I'm not being negative. It would be great if it does. But until it does, I've been scarred too many times.
Yeah, I think we all have. Final one from myself, obviously. Eddie's in an interview, Eddie Hearn's in an interview, and talked about new people in the industry. Not talking about yourself, I'm just going to ask you a general question. He's saying that, some people are not about this life. You won't be able to ride this out, this boxing game. Talking about new people in the industry, I'm just going to ask you, somebody who's relatively new in the professional boxing industry. I know you've been there with boxing and the tournaments. With Sky Sports. Are you ready to ride this out? Are you going to go through any obstacle to make sure that yourself, Sky Sports, are the number one in the UK?
It's a lot harder when you don't have a broadcaster. I became a promoter at 23, had 4 years there building the business. Trust me, that's the hard part. This is not the hard part. This is a magnifying glass, but this is not the hard part. And I don't want to go back at that and this and that. I'm not even. We need to get on with other promoters and work with them. But as I say, it's hard to compare. It's hard to, when you have to start your own business and start from scratch, and you have nothing, and you have to do everything you can. Believe me, that's what's tough. Not, and I mean that respectfully. Not working for a business that's been established 20 years and having your first show on TV. And I don't want to go back. We want to work with them. But I did a lot of shows, small hall, non-TV. That's hard. This is a dream come true. This is a dream come true, and there's the pressure of paying your staff every month is a lot more than the pressure of this. This is amazing.
Awesome, Ben Shalom. Good luck on Saturday night with a big card as always, and no doubt we'll speak to you very soon. Some big cards coming up, so no doubt we'll speak to you very soon. Thank you very much for talking to pro boxing fans.
Cheers, mate.